So I wanted to let you know I went out on Tuesday, did the regular shower and wash face, brush my teeth. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and yesterday was Friday, I didn't. My swelling is going down. The teeth aren't out of line as much. The jaw isn't as bad. But most of all, I don't have the vibrating in the face. So they're really upset. They're like, how did you lose the voices? I told you that they came up with some sort of computer model where they could not tell because they get it wrong, but kind of figure out if I'm hearing the voice in the head. It's never in the head. We already know that. And I want to make sure people get that. It's not in when you're being targeted like I am. It's not in your head. You can record it. Please record it. And if you can, post it publicly so other people can hear it. I listen to other people's videos because I like to hear it. But most of all, it's a vibration. So even when they're using the microwave weapon, it's your brain swelling. So it's swelling, contracting, swelling, contracting. It's that throbbing. And they said, well, is it a headache? It's more like a pain. It feels like a pressure, especially right here. So when they're saying that their computer doesn't work, what they wanted to do is be able to target specific areas of my body to hurt, to punish me. So they said they would say, if I said anything wrong, they'll push a button or do something to hurt me. Isn't that horrible? So they said I'm like an animal. Well, humans are part of the animal kingdom, but if you look at human beings as worthy of being physically harmed and tortured when they do something wrong, that's how they treat other animals, and that's how they'll treat other people. So what I'm explaining is that we don't treat animals that way. Would you hit they said, well, if you do something wrong, how else will we punish you? That's my point. Another thing that happened is my eyes aren't running as much. So I'm sleeping under like something I made up with a lot of boxes and soundproofing so that whatever they were doing to me, it has to come from upstairs. And they said it also comes from downstairs because I don't have a neighbor on this side and I blocked off the neighbor on my left side. It's not affecting me as much. So I can actually have this conversation with you. Before, when they were talking in the background, it was so distracting. So I can actually have this conversation with you folks without it being as distracting. I used to sleep over right in this bed, and there's a window right here. You guys can see it. And there's a window over there, I told you. So what I think they were doing was the windows helped them. And so the sound would come from one direction. They said they had competing teams. One team came from this direction. Another team came from that direction. And they were doing so much to talk to me. So between what was going on upstairs, downstairs, and the windows, it was as though I could hear it. And you saw how I looked. I leave the picture of how bad it was on my Twitter profile, Shamega Johnson, so you can see how bad it was. But as the swelling goes down, you can tell the difference in just the shape of my face. That's why I said this completely changed how I looked, completely changed how I spoke. My grammar, my vocabulary changed because the head was so swollen. The jaw was so swollen. So you can actually see my true jawline. It's completely different. You can see my actual smile. So they're worried about, well, aren't you worried about, I'm in my home. I'm not worried about my hygiene. I'm worried about having to hear their voices looking like a completely different person. So they said the reason it changes your teeth is because it causes your gums to swell. And after a while, that swelling, contracting, swelling, contracting, swelling, contracting makes your teeth loose. You also start to feel like I felt along my jaw a swollen area, and that they said is a nerve. And so you go to the dentist thinking you have a toothache, and unfortunately, sometimes something can go wrong. And that's my point. This seems to be not just the crime of torturing people, which they did to me, but getting people to go to doctors, getting people to go to dentists. And if you get the wrong person, you can have a problem. And that's my point. I've told you folks about why I'm doing this. I'm doing this to tell you not only what they've told me, I don't know if they intentionally told me or they were talking amongst themselves and I heard it, but to warn you folks about these things. They think I will feel some sort of way like, won't you offend dentists? No, the right, good dentist won't be offended. The bad dentist, I hope, is offended. And this is putting that person in the hot spot so that that person will know. There are people like me who know that these people, they just banged. I think that they got upset. Who know that these people are setting folks up to have bad things happen to them. So going back to, talking about animals, and I think I'm going to call this video Animals. The human beings were part of the animal kingdom. And part of that means that there are certain things that if you experiment on human beings that used to be allowed, it's not anymore. It's illegal. This whole thing is illegal. Nobody's allowed to experiment on me or anyone else. And I want you to know that. If you think that this is a legal government thing, it's not. It's illegal. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you. I think these people wanted to confuse it and make it seem like the United States government is allowed to experiment on human beings. They're not. They're not even allowed to experiment on certain animals. Why would they be allowed to experiment on human beings? It's illegal. And that's part of why I keep trying to get these videos out and get it across to people. No one has a right to do this to you. Don't let anyone say, well, it's the government, what else? No, that's wrong. We have laws against certain experiments on mice. And now all of a sudden people think it will be okay for any group to experiment on a human being. It's wrong. Let alone say it's because of reward and punishment. So how they said this was supposed to work was I was supposed to get into prostitution. I'm 49. I mean, don't they have younger prostitutes out there than a 49-year-old woman who's sick? That doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make sense. It sounds like I said, it's a criminal group that wanted to make me sick because it was to their benefit on many levels. As you folks who've been listening to this can tell, on many levels, it would be to their benefit. And so when that didn't work, they needed a way to disguise it as something other. And they thought, well, great idea. We'll talk about human experimentation. Bad idea. Bad idea. It's illegal. So talking about going from how we know it's illegal to experiment on humans, we know it's illegal for certain experiments to be done on mice and monkeys and so many other animals, dogs. The types of people who are willing to abuse animals usually are the types of people who are willing to abuse humans. Not necessarily so, but there definitely is a connection. But the type of person, now here's this flip side, the type of person that's willing to abuse a human being is definitely the type of person willing to abuse an animal. Those types of people are the most dangerous people. Thanks for watching.